All right. All right, guys. So my question is, are you able to see our screen share? This is Joette with ballooncoach.com, and I help people grow thriving balloon businesses. If you have not hung out with me before, I'm delighted that you guys are here on this free webinar today to just hear a little bit from Stuart Davies and I about transformation in the midst of uncertainty, because over the last over 100 days it's been since the whole COVID thing started and we started social distancing. And for some people, I know that that meant that they went into their homes and they just kind of sat dumbfounded, not sure what to do next with our businesses because life was changing. And so I have been working really hard to help our industry just kind of have some conversations and talk to each other and be able to keep moving forward in our lives and our business. And then this is Stuart Davies. For those of you who have not met him before, Stuart is from Beyond Balloons in Wales. And Stuart Davies and I are in this top photo on stage together last November in Orlando, where Stuart was giving out CBA certificates to people who had come to the event and gone through that process. And then at the bottom of the photos are he and Liz Romani, one of my other Dynamo instructors at the event. And then many people know Stuart for the amazing designs that he has done for Disney with their Pride Parade and other things in the UK. So during the last over 100 days, Stuart's gone through a little bit of change. Some of you may not have recognized him because of the beard that is on his face, but there's some other things that have been happening too behind the scenes with his business and personally. So I wanted to just define the word transformation real quick. It's a thorough or dramatic change in form or appearance. Stuart, does that kind of sum up how you feel currently?
Yeah, personally and professionally, I would guess.
So, for those of you who hadn't seen the change totally, or you maybe have not seen Stuart, the person before, I thought these side-by-side pictures were so dramatic when Stuart showed me, the slim, trim, and ready to go take on the world, Stuart. And then for me, our family has lost over 170 pounds since we started our health journey. And so it's kind of exciting just to look at those side-by-side pictures, because sometimes when transformation happens, people who are around us don't always see it because it kind of happens in stages, or we sometimes don't even see it ourselves because when we look in the mirror, the change may be gradual. So sometimes we have to go back and look at these flashback photos to be able to see how much of a change that has happened. So what I want to ask you, Stuart, as we hang out today, is what inspired you to make these changes that you've got personally and within your business? What was the inspiration?
I think the first one is waking up, realizing on a personal level that your knees hurt, your back hurts. It's difficult to stand up because your stomach gets in the way. And you just don't have the energy that you needed to have. And the second one for me was actually coming up to Florida in November at your balloon coach summit, which is, I actually wanted to talk about transformation. I wanted to talk about how simple business is, how boring business is. And I wanted to use the kind of a personal transformation to show exactly the same steps that would be needed to transform yourself as a person as is needed to transform a business. So, yeah. And we had some spare time at the beginning of the last 100 days trying to work out what's going to happen with life in general. So I took a step back from the business because there wasn't a lot that could be done, and it was pointless worrying about it because it is what it is at that. It was what it was at that point in time.
Right.
So I wanted to take a step back and concentrate on me, um, and then come back to the business. So I've been able to I've learned a lot over the last 3 months, about myself, about the business, about where we need to go, how we've needed to change, and we've started that change process, and using very similar things to what I did in my own kind of personal transformation.
That's awesome. So you took time to change yourself and make some transformations and then be able to apply that to your business. I love it.
Yeah, it was only the first kind of couple of weeks that I took the time. Then I started realizing, wait a second, I need to start focusing on the business now because things were changing. And then I ran them in parallel, really. So
Yeah. And the thing that I want to do as a shout out for all of my friends in the balloon industry is I think the number one thing that I've gained through the last 5.5 years, being able to be a business coach for our industry and just a partner and hanging out with people in the last 17 years, is when I go to conventions year after year, so many people I see kind of just stay stuck, even though they go to an event and they learn and they get excited. Um, they have physical pains that come up. You talked about, just being uncomfortable in your body.
yeah,
I know what we do as balloon decorators is a physically demanding job.
God, yeah,
And so many times we put everyone else first, our client, our business, our family, our friends, and we put ourselves last. And one of the things that just really hit me during this time when we ended up coming home is I had been working 6 days a week at Party People with opening up our new storefront and getting things ready. And I had let go, even though I had been on a path to eat better and to do more exercise, I had really let the business side of things, take over. And I think for me, this whole social distancing thing and coming home was a time to refocus and remember, like, hey, you had this plan to take care of you first.
yeah,
And you've got to make time for that and to do it. And that when we make that time, and I've also gone through a ton of training over the last couple of months. And one of the number one things, every thought leader, every business person that makes good money and has a solid foundation, their morning routine and setting up a plan for the day where they're taking care of themselves is like the number one thing that every successful person I study has. And
yeah.
so for me, it was really exciting to see how you took those steps to make some changes.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things you said there that are key. I think every successful person that I've ever met has um, is generally in good physical shape. And I'm not saying that if you're not in good physical shape that you can't be successful, but it helps. One, it gives you more energy, which means you can work harder. Two, you're less likely to become ill.
Yeah.
But there's several other things about it as well. And this isn't fat shaming or anything. But people who are more physically fit, um, they have an aura of confidence about them.
Yep.
Their shoulders, their shoulders are set back. They become someone actually asked me if I'd grown taller, and I think when you haven't got a good muscle framework, you kind of slouch, and it's not appealing to the people you're talking to when you see someone slouching and perspiring when they work in because
Yeah.
it's too difficult. But seeing someone who's got that kind of rosiness in their cheeks because they do a morning walk or they do a yoga session. I haven't exercised in the real sense of exercise. I've done no running. I've done no cycling. I hate running. I hate cycling. I hate all cardio. Um, I've done a couple of walks, and I've done yoga. So the biggest thing for me was the food transformation of eating properly. But the other key thing that I think these successful people have and why they do it is consistency. As a consistent approach to their life, a consistent approach to their day. And that's all business is about. Business business is about a persistence. It's about taking a path and just pushing in that direction constantly.
Yep.
And that's all a diet is, that's all exercise is. And it's just gradual changes that will happen over days, over weeks, over months, because you are continually going in the same direction. And it's that consistency that's key for business. And that's what I wanted to do, is gain that consistency.
I love it. Yeah, and in Balloon Boss Mastermind, I often talk to people about the number one thing I want you to do is to have your weekly schedule for success. And people are like, oh, I don't want to write down goals. I don't want to do the same routine. I'm in balloons because I want to be creative and have fun. And I'm like, the thing is in business, it's all about that routine. It's all about the consistency.
Yeah.
And it's all about doing the boring stuff over and over and over again that leads to the results that you want. And I think that's why so many people, and in the past for me, I mean, I've been overweight. I turned 50 this year. So like my whole goal was to be fit in my 50s. And so to sit on a scale and go, oh, I weigh 200 pounds more than I should. That's a number that's embarrassing that most people aren't willing to say. And then a lot of people are like, oh, we couldn't believe that you're that big. Like you pack it in there tight. The thing is you had talked about like, you know, confidence and people responding to people and not wanting to fat shame anybody. But like, I can tell you guys, I'm still 97 pounds overweight, but man, it feels good to finally go into a regular store and buy an extra large shirt rather than having to go into the big people store to buy a 4X. And so it's that confidence level of, hey, when you walk into a place, having your shoulders back and standing tall. Yeah, I agree. People are like, Joette, you're glowing. And I'm like, that's because for the first time in my life, pretty much because I've been overweight since middle school, is my body feels good. I don't have aches and pains in my knees, you know? So, and when I go to do a job or a setup, I'm not gasping for breath and I'm not sweating profusely. And it's a huge difference. And so I wanted...
Joette, can I ask you?
Yes.
Sorry you did a photo shoot recently.
Yes.
And I saw the pictures, and the transformation, even from 6 months ago, is phenomenal. But there's one thing that really stands out. Your smile is still there, but there is something in the pictures that really has changed in you. As you know, there's like that confidence, that belief. And if anybody says, oh, belief can't come out in pictures, confidence, it does. I've worked at a quite senior level in business, and you can see it in people who have this confidence about their own ability, which comes from that the persistent effort of what you had to eat, you know, on a daily basis. That kind of, and the other thing is, willpower is a skill. Mm-hmm. It's not something you're born with.
Right.
That willpower, that persistence, Joette, I've only been doing it 3 or 4 months. The willpower you must have created over the last 12 to 18 months is going to stand you in such good stead for everything you do with your business.
Right. Thank you. I mean, like, I think that's the thing that so many people, we use excuses like, oh, I can't be good enough, or, oh, I messed up. And like, I am definitely not perfect. I am a human being that there are times where I like to have my late night snack and eat my cheese, you know, and I still do that, you know, or there's that time that I go have some ice cream. But the thing is that I've set up, huh?
I'm literally chewing on toffees at the moment. So. Yeah.
But the thing that we've done with my family is I'm blessed that I have an amazing husband that, because of his health issues, that's why we've changed to a whole plant-based, whole food way of eating, because we want to keep him out of the hospital with more heart issues and diabetes. And he also has kidney issues. So it's like, we would like to be able to use the food to make our body stronger rather than having to be dependent on continuing to go to the hospital and increasing meds and those kind of things. And so for me, it was that result of, you know what, I know that for the future, I want to be that really cool grandma that can go hang out when my daughter has children and that I can be active with them and have fun. I want to grow a successful company with Balloon Coach where other people can look up and say, hey, if she can do it, if she can lose 200 pounds, which sounds like there's no way that will happen, that I can go ahead and I can go make a phone call today and talk to a client that I want to, or I can go to a networking. If that person who is grossly obese can go out and network with other people and confidently sell their business, then I can do it too. And that's why I do what I'm doing is, number one, to take care of myself and be here a long time for my family. But also part of it is that I want to show other people that it's nothing special. It's not a secret thing. It's that every day we can make choices in our routine and say no to things that we shouldn't do and say yes to the things that we should to be able to create the life we want. And in the midst of this last 100 days, so many people have been living in fear and so many people have been scared to take a step. And I'm like, man, I'm so glad that I didn't go back to my old routines and just sit on the couch and eat potato chips and pizza, you know, because that's in the past how I would have handled stress is just eating junk food. But instead, because of these routines that my family had started before that, we were able to go, yeah, we're going to still eat really good whole foods. They still sell those at the grocery store. I will have it delivered to your door. Yeah. And we made those choices, and the energy level we get from it is just phenomenal. So it's exciting that I not only seen it for my family, but seen it in you and seen it in so many other people who've been making those choices. And I just want to encourage people that it doesn't have to be some fad diet. It doesn't have to be, it's just eating things that nourish your body and will make your body stronger are going to make you feel better.
And the other thing is, it's not about perfection, and business isn't about perfection. And I probably had, of the last 13, 14 weeks, I probably had 1 week where I was 95% on track of what I should have been eating. Other weeks I was down in the kind of 85, 80%, but still good enough that it made a difference. It was still about the consistency of doing this. And yes, I had one day that I fell off, but then 5 days that I was doing well. You know, it's that consistency and pushing. The more you do it, the better you become at the consistency. And the analogy, the link between business, how you run your personal life, how you run your physical well-being and your business, it is the parallel between the two is just so close. It's that doing simple things repetitively and consistently will get you the gains. You know, and also looking at what comes from what you do. When I started the yoga 13 weeks ago, oh my God, I was doing an online course with a one-to-one with this lady.
Okay.
Who was out to work because she was a sports therapist because of the coronavirus. And I think she was enjoying my pain more than anything else, because I was literally crying the first week. And, you know, I could hardly walk for 2 days after the first session. And it was like about 40 minutes. But after about 3 weeks, the pain went, you know, and my body got used to it. And in exactly the same way, when people say, I can't go talk to someone, I can't do this, it is painful. The first time you do anything, the first time you dance, you know, you could look stupid. But if you dance every day, twice a day for a month, you will be a lot better at the end of the month than you were at the beginning of the month. And it will feel a lot more comfortable, and you will start refining it to suit yourself. So, you know, it's the parallels between getting fit and looking after yourself and how you run your business are, I think one goes with the other. And I've changed a lot of the things that I do in my business now to look very similar to that. Ooh, look at that dirty old building.
So in addition to having a transformation in your body, it seems like that your business went through a bit of a transformation also.
Yeah. Yeah. So uh, I basically ripped off the whole frontage and redid it about two 2 months ago. So this was the process of changing the sign, taking out the shutters. Um,
Let
that
me,
was
let me flip back up to the
towards the
front
end of
for you.
last year.
Just a second. Let me go up to the front for you. All right. So taking off all of this, and did you do this on your own?
Yeah,
Wow.
but there's no workmen around 2 months ago. So
So just a little bit of a difference there in the front.
yeah,
It looks
but it makes you feel. It made me feel better about the building. It made all the staff feel better about the business, because it looked like you had more pride in your business and the work that you do. So yeah, and we had a bit of a kick in the teeth with regards to the coronavirus, because I spent £30,000 on my shop, which is about 40 odd $1,000 refitting it last year inside, and now we can't have customers in. So
you did all this work to make a beautiful indoors.
and we don't have customers in the shop anymore. But you know, you get setbacks in life, and we've just had to refocus how we run the business now. We're now more delivery based, and we're changing the way in which we work everything.
That's awesome. So what are you doing for your business currently, as far as, since you said that people aren't coming into the shop, how are you getting your balloons in the hands of your customers?
Well, as of this week, we could have opened the shop up as of Monday this week, and we chose not to. We're actually taking a hit we're selling more balloons in the shop now than we did before the coronavirus, but we're taking a hit in an income sense because the rest of the shop wasn't selling, or we're not selling what the rest of the shop sold, gifts, cards, etc. But we think we can make more money by being a delivery company than the amount of time it takes to run the rest of the shop. So we are focusing on deliveries and collections. So we're looking at the moment, because there are no parties, no events, we are looking at a kind of range of sales between, I would say, $50 and $150. So the sale per customer for us isn't huge, but we have got a good profit margin on those. We got some really good designs which we're working on, like the one in front of us. Our helium usage has reduced dramatically. We have hardly any helium designs in our catalogs anymore. So we get a better profit margin on everything. I also think the displays look a lot better when they're air filled, like the one you've got on your screen there at the moment. You know, that's nearly 6 feet tall. It's a fantastic display. It's easy to make, it's easy to change, and it's easy to deliver. We don't do outside work, mainly because, unlike America, we don't have yards in our area. And there aren't front gardens, and the roads are a lot smaller. So we generally tend to do our work for indoors. But I'd also tend to push to be indoors anyway, because all the difficulties that come with the weather, heat, cold, etc., can cause so many problems with balloon work. So, but you know, it's different for different people. But for us, it's internal, large gifts, internal parties, house parties, that type of thing.
And so that is one of the things when Stuart's talking about transforming your business, transforming yourself over this time, is looking at things, and rather than being scared of a change, coming up with that plan of, hey, what's going to work in my area? What makes sense for my business? And looking at those numbers to make sure that it's something profitable. And what I love about this design here with the champagne bottle is, like you said, it stands 6 feet tall. So it's nice and large, but it's not too cumbersome that you can't fit it in a vehicle. And I
Yeah.
think so many times when people are coming up with ideas and designs, that in the balloon industry, we're really sometimes bad about comparing ourselves to other people. And we look online and I'm like, oh, we've got to be this huge, big, bold, audacious thing, rather than realizing that keeping things like this short and simple are going to be able to be your bread and butter and help you make more money when you can make a system that can just be repeated over and over again. And I think that's too why so many times we fail at weight loss or at eating healthy or going to bed on time, is that creativeness in a lot of us, that we want to always just make something bigger, bolder, and more different, to look impressive. And we forget about the business end of things. That is when we come up with these systems, which I loved the webinar you did for me quite a while back, where you talked about your catalogs, and it's like, hey, Spider-Man and Batman, it looks exactly the same. The difference is one is red and blue and the other one's black and yellow. Like,
Yeah.
being able to create those systems that are repeatable and that you can just continue to do over and over again, but give you beautiful dynamic pieces that your customers are going to love.
And it's not just for me. What I've started to do, our designs, we try to fit in a 1:1 ratio on a picture. That's a 1:1 ratio, so it means a square. Like a 4:3 ratio would be like your monitor, your TV screen. If you were taking landscape or portrait pictures, they are useless for Facebook and Instagram, because when a person sees them on their phone, the top will be cut off or the bottom will be cut off, and it doesn't look good as a picture. So even though it's a good picture, they won't open it because they're not getting the whole picture in one go. People are lazy now. They want to see that instant, oh, that's a good picture, I'll have a look at this. So we're creating designs that go for a 1:1 ratio. So we're looking at them being about the same width, slightly narrower than they are tall, rather than long and thin like columns, like bouquets. And that's why this picture works, because you don't have a huge amount of background then. The other great thing about this design, there's 5 1-inch strips of balloon bond and a sand weight. Apart from that, it's all balloons.
That's
You know,
awesome.
that is then so easy to change. If we wanted to make this rose gold, you could have a rose gold 36. That's a 36-inch star. So that would give you an idea of how big this design is.
Right.
And that's an 18-inch mylar, the cheers.
The cheers foil.
Yeah. So you could change the star to a rose gold heart. And you could change the 18-inch to a rose gold happy birthday, put a few rose gold chromes in, maybe mauve chromes. And then suddenly it's a totally different design, but you don't have to price it, because all you've done is change the elements within the design, and it's going to be the same price. You're going to make it exactly the same way that you did this one. And that's, we're going for a whole range from 1 year up to 100 now, through engagement. We got an engagement design like this, which actually looks exactly like this, except there's a heart and there's an engagement foil in it with the champagne bottle. And it just makes, we don't have to think about designs anymore. It's just like, it's done. It's easy. So I'd say that to anybody: stop designing too much and start looking at simplifying your kind of range.
Yeah. And I think That is so key in everything in life is the more that we keep things simple and the more we keep things streamlined, the easier it is for us to duplicate it and do it over and over again. So if we
Yeah.
make our daily routine easy, if we make our business operate with certain systems and guidelines, and that it's just not having to create something brand new
Yeah. Yeah.
from fresh every single day, and being able to change it up, because like you said, that can have hundreds of different variations and colors and designs and themes, but still have the basic structure so that it's easy for your staff to be able to put it out and for you guys to make money. I love it. It's a beautiful design.
Joette, can I, because I'm going to start questioning you as well now, because the simplicity of this design and the simplicity of running a business, going back to your diet, for example, and the success on my diet is based on what you were doing, which is the simplicity of your meal plan. You know, you had all your meals. You had, was it Octiva or something?
Yeah, and I stopped doing that, but yes.
But having a simple range of
Right.
meal plans
Yep.
means you're less likely to get caught out and then end up not making something because it takes too long.
Right.
And that was what I spent a day. The first day I didn't diet. The first day I worked out how could I make meals that A, I liked,
Yep.
B, were balanced, and C, provided the right calories without ever having to think about it ever again.
Yes.
And I got 4 or 5 meals. And for the last 13 weeks, that's all I've ate is those 4 or 5 meals, which kind of sounds boring, but I eat 3 Weetabix. Do you have Weetabix in America? So I eat 3 Weetabix with 200 milliliters of milk. That's my
Okay.
breakfast. Yes, it is boring, but most people eat cereal anyway.
Right.
And then I got 4 or 5 different other meals for the lunch and the dinner.
Yep.
Um, and I just make sure that's available to me. I don't have to cook it. It's already prepared in
Yes.
advance. And I don't have to think about it. When you have to think about something, when you have to redesign something, when you have to come home from a long day of work and then spend an hour preparing food and, you know, I don't feel like it, and then suddenly you'll snack,
Yes.
that's when things fail. But it's exactly the same thing for a business. And it's about that consistency of knowing what I'm going to do next and just doing it and just doing it and just doing it. And after a while, when you get down to a certain weight, you don't have to worry about it so much. So whereas at the start, you are like 95% on board.
Right.
By the time you've started exercising, you've lost the weight, you could be 70%
Yes.
effective and it'll work. And that's the same with a business. Once you've got those systems in place, it just works
Yes.
because you've set up that time to make things work.
And I think so many times we use the excuse that we don't have time. And so I started thinking about that, like with the meal prep part, is I'm very fortunate. My husband's a teacher. He loves to cook. And so he has taken over all that responsibility because I'm really working hard to build the business side of things. But at the same token, if he says, hey, Joette, we're making something, come cut up the vegetables, then I'll do that. But what we find in our routine is like on the weekend, if on one of the days, Saturday or Sunday, we sit there and we just cut things up. And like you said, pre-plan it out. And yeah, we might have the same meal for lunch all week, every other day, you know, make something, but make those things up on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then we can prepare it, put it in packaging. And like, we know, okay, we've got this pasta salad, or we've got this, you know, no tuna, or whatever. It's already made and ready to go.
Yeah.
Cutting up vegetables, you can buy them pre-cut, or you can cut them up yourself. And then it's this crazy thing. They make ice chests and coolers that you can put in your car with some ice. And you can actually have the food in your vehicle to, instead of eat McDonald's, you can grab your carrots and your, you know, salad. Yeah. And so we do that a lot. Is we went and visited one of the people who's on here right now, Tabitha Miller, came into Orlando the other day. And so we grabbed our food that had already been prepared, and rather than eating it at home, we put it on paper plates and ate it in the car on our way to Orlando to see her, grabbing out some fruits and vegetables. So I think that's the thing, is so many times we make excuses that time is an issue, but there's so many people out there that can help organize and help you prepare foods that are healthy for you. And there's
Yeah.
even services that will do all of that and then deliver it to your door for you prepackaged even. And
I'll come back to your question at the end.
thanks, Stuart. So
No, but Joette, you're absolutely spot on. But and people say, oh yeah, but I want a bit of variation. Do you know what? Variation causes problems. Variation in your business causes problems. If your main area of contact with customers is Facebook, for instance, and you have not set aside the first hour of your day and the last hour of your day dealing with all Facebook inquiries, then you're going to have problems because you'll have inconsistent response times to customers. And you'll have customers waiting for 3 days sometimes. But it comes down to that consistency. In the same way, you have to have consistency with your meals if you're looking to lose weight. You have to have consistency the way that you deal with every aspect of your business on a daily basis until it becomes ingrained. And then what you've got then is a persistent pushing your business forward. It's not like a huge surge. It's just a gradual, persistent push, driving it forward.
I love that. And one thing that it made me think of when we were talking about this too, and if you look at Stuart's balloon design, is that when he said that variation causes problems, one of the things that I see in our industry doing so many times is we think we have to make these custom colors for our clients. And personally, we've only done that, I think, twice with party people in the last 5 years. And with me personally, I can think of it twice in the last 17 years prior to 5 years ago that I've done it, where there was just a specific color needed and there was nowhere to find it. Telling our clients that, you know what, colors blend and look wonderful just in nature. Like when you have a flower bouquet for somebody's wedding and they want purple flowers. Well, there's certain colors that are the purple flowers. And no, it's not going to be the exact same color purple as the linens that they've ordered, but things are going to naturally blend and look wonderful. And so same with our business is when you're preparing for your business, you order in the stock that you want to use and that you're going to use for your clients. And especially in the midst of a pandemic when who knows when you're going to be able to get the balloons again because of shipment issues or stock issues, right? But if you just say, hey, here's what I offer. And so with your purple event, you get this purple. We have these other shades that can go with it. And don't feel like you have to double stuff things. Like just being confident, that whole thing when you're talking about weight loss and standing up taller, right? Same thing as you grow your business, you're going to get more confident and say, you know what? No, I'm not going to make that specific color of muted purple that you saw online that's double stuffed and probably photoshopped in a filter. And it's probably not even the color you think it is anyway. Like, I'm going to make you what I have.
That picture's photoshopped.
Huh?
My picture over there is, it literally I took the photograph. The problem is when you take a photograph, it never looks like what you're seeing.
Right.
There's two or three things that I do to a picture, and literally I'm done in 15 seconds. The first one is I crop it to 1:1. Unless I've already got the phone camera set to 1:1. The second one is I change the exposure. Usually you have to increase the exposure. And this is done on, I don't even know what the app is. It's the bog standard app that comes with Android. Okay. I haven't paid for it, I haven't downloaded it, it was there. I increase the exposure and then I increase the saturation. The saturation will just up the colors a bit. And it gets it closer to what you felt it looked like. So that isn't a real photograph. That's been slightly altered. I never altered it so much that you can actually say, oh, wait a second, you can tell that's photoshopped. But an interesting point about the double stuffing and about if anybody ever brings you a color, it is absolutely impossible to get that color. Even if you could get that color, when you take that color into a different place or a different time of day, the color will change. Why? Because the lighting source is different.
Yes.
I used to work for the Royal National Institute for the Blind, and we had the I created a team that had one of the preeminent light experts in the world. And we trained, I kid you not, we trained the bomb squad for the MI6, for the Ministry of Defense. This is actually a story I've never told.
I was going to say, I don't think I've heard this one.
So we trained the bomb squad. And the reason why we trained the bomb squad, this is the Royal National Institute for the Blind, training the bomb squads for the Ministry of Defense for the UK, was because colour blindness is a potential issue, but also colours of wires will change depending on if you were looking at it through a monitor, or if you were looking at it through a pair of glasses, or if it had natural daylight, or if it had halogen bulbs on it. The colours will change. Even though the actual wire doesn't change, it's a red wire, you look at it on a monitor and it could be scarlet. You look at it through a halogen bulb and it could have a purple tinge to it because of the colour that the halogen is putting onto it. So there is an impossibility of that colour ever staying the same colour. It will always be different. And a perfect example, I'm looking out of my window now, and there's a massive tree outside. The green on those leaves are changing. As the branch is going up and down, is changing because of the light is changing on them. And in an hour's time, those greens will be a different colour. The leaf hasn't changed. The light has changed.
Yep.
If you take your design from your studio and then take it into the event, it's different lighting. Will it be different at night? Will it be different at day? Will it be different when the lights are on, when the lights are off, when the top chandelier lights are on and the wall lights are off? It will change colour all of the time. And as Joette said, what you're better off doing is getting a palette of colours within that range. And you say, this would work better then during night, during day, etc., because we're using the hues and the shades of a colour. So you're going from navy to blue to a light blue. Double stuffing is impossible to get the colour right, because as soon as you take it out of the environment that it was first seen in, instantly, as soon as you take it out the door, it's a different colour.
Yes.
Because the light will change that colour.
I love that. Oh, and isn't it interesting that how people that are in the balloon industry have such a varied amount of knowledge totally outside of the industry that can be applied? So, I mean, talking about how you need to have things set up for bombs versus balloons, something I would never have thought about. But I love how you describe that about how the colors change based on the lighting. And I see that so many times that we're so worried about getting that perfect color, and we spend so much time trying to make that special thing for our client, where we could have spent the energy a different way, confidently just selling what we have and moving on.
Just tell them what I just told them. You know, it is impossible. As soon as you take it, if they're showing it to you on a monitor, my monitor will be different than Joette's monitor. Joette's monitor will be different than their monitor. You know, the color will be different. The computer changes the colors depending on what monitor you're using. You see it on a TV, it will be a different color. And even if we use the same monitors, if my monitor has halogen lights above it and Joette's monitor has phosphorescent lights above it, the color will be different again. So it is impossible. It is impossible to get that coloring right.
Awesome, awesome tips. Well, guys, I'm so excited for those of you who are on live with us today to come and hang out with our chat. So this is the time where I want to just open things up. If you have a question for Stuart or I about transformation for you personally or within your business, as you've seen, they're all tied together. Feel free to type into the chat to ask those questions now, because I want you guys to feel a part of this and to get some extra from the conversation since that you came in live. And for those of you who are watching this as a replay later, I'm so glad that you've listened to this conversation. I hope you've gotten a lot of golden nuggets out of it, because we have so much that we can learn from each other and just be able to share our experiences. And that's what Balloon Coach and Balloon Coach community is all about, is for us to share our experiences of the things that work for us, the things that may not have worked so well for us, so that we can each just have a quicker path to success, and understand that when we put a system in place and we consistently work on things day after day, change can happen. And it might not be overnight, but that being able to look back 3 months, 6 months later, amazing things can happen when we just dig in and take the chance to make those changes happen in our lives. So let's see. Tabitha says, I love how Stuart said business is easy. I'd love for him to expand on that. There are so many hats and I can feel overwhelmed at times. I love to hear his processes. Ooh.
You know what? The hardest thing in business is being self-employed and working on your own. It is so difficult because you have so many hats. You know, you're an accountant, you're a salesperson, you're a designer, you're a manufacturer. There's everything that you need to know. I think the key thing is, and something that we've been doing over the last 3 months in my business, is actually concentrating on 3 things. Is making the sale. So it's when you talk to, so the customers come to you and you make the sale to the person. So whether that's over Facebook messaging, whether that's over the telephone, whether that's email, you know, whether it's your website, that's the sale point. And it's trying to simplify that as much as possible. Perfect example I can give for that is what Tommy and Scott Di Lorenzo used to do prior to the virus, which is you only contact us by email. And to be honest, that used to scare me a little when I used to listen to them saying that. But we've cut down all of the avenues to 1 or 2 avenues into our business, because what you tend to find is the people on the fringes and the you know, you try to open up so many ways that people can get into your business. They are difficult. Those people are difficult and they eat up your time. Get rid of them and just concentrate on the funnels that work for you. The second one is making the balloons. So the first one is dealing with the customer. The second one is making the balloons. Exactly the same thing. Stop making it complicated. Make it easy. The more simplified that you make your designs, the better. And I'll pull out another piece of David Mahoney. He hasn't got thousands and thousands and thousands of designs. It's very limited techniques done in a certain way that makes the displays look good. And to be honest, when you look at the principles and elements of design, the best designs are simple. There's simple color schemes, simple effective movement within the balloons, and you know, a simple design, which makes it easily replicable by other people, but also changing the design isn't difficult. And that's why classic decor always works. Why does it always work? Because it's simple and it adheres to the mostly all of the principle and elements of design. So the second one, sorry.
For those of you who are newer to the industry, when he talks about the classic decor, that is your arches, your columns, your bouquets, things that are the traditional things that have been tried and true for years.
Yeah. So the first one is the customer, reducing the funnel that the customer comes into and making it so you're not offering 50 different ways in which the customer gets to you. Because what that means is you would just concentrate on your email once a day rather than having to do 15 different things. Instagram, Facebook, you know, get it all down to one point if you can. Second one, make your designs more simple. You know, that's a simple design, but I'm quite pleased with it. I actually think it's a good looking design. And the third one is how do you get the customers into the business in the first place, which is the key one. You know, how do you get them into the funnel? And it's about streamlining that effort and looking at what you do. Where do your customers come from? Do they come from the website? Do they come from email? Do they come from... Which of those funnels is easiest for you to run? which is most effective, which is most efficient, push people into that. Don't push them into the ones that are difficult, because then it reduces the number of ways in which you communicate with the customer, which reduces the amount of time you're thinking about 6 or 7 other different things. Oh, I have to do Instagram. Oh, I have to do Facebook. Oh, I have to do email. Oh, my answer machine on my phone. Talk to Scott and Tommy about, oh, I only have to get up and do emails every day because I don't answer the telephone. It works. If that's how you communicate it to your customer and that's how you drive your customers down, you will lose customers. But in effect, you're not losing customers because they're not your customers anyway, because they are the ones that are irritating and usually cause you huge problems because they want to do it in a certain way. No, you do it my way. If you want my work, this is how you come to me. And I think if you look at some of the more bespoke and designers, whether you're in fashion industry or bridal wear, they've got it tuned to that kind of degree. This is how you contact me. This is how you work with me, rather than the other way around. And I'm not saying I've got it right. I'm still working on it, but we're a lot better. And one of the reasons why my shop isn't open, because it cuts down so many ways in which the customers come to us. We only have one payment method now, card. We don't accept cash because no one comes into the shop. How much time has that's saved us hours every week? And we literally going through, we've forced, we have a certain customer, certain type of customer, they used to come in and pay weekly. We forced them to pay monthly. Yes, it affected our cash flow, but we had 300 customers coming in weekly and spending 2 minutes just paying for what we gave them. 300 times 2 minutes every week. So 600 minutes a week. That's 10 hours a week just dealing with payments. Now we only have them paying once a month because they're not allowed in the shop. Then I've literally cut out 18 hours a month. That's a half a week a month that I've cut out of the process. I've lost no money. I've just looked at what's taking my time and tried to streamline it. So that's what I would say to you, Tabitha. Look at what you do and try and cut out the things that take your time. Before I stop talking, because I do talk a lot, there's a rule that I absolutely believe in, which is the 80-20 rule. I think it's got a number of names.
Yeah.
But it's basically, it takes 20% of your time to do 80% of your job. Okay. And then it takes you 80% of the time to do the last 20%. And you can apply that to anything. But you can also apply it to 20% of your customers, 20% of your customers will give you 80% of your income.
Yes.
And then 80% of your customers will just eat, or 20% of your customers will just eat your time. And they're not bringing a huge amount to the ball game with regards to your balance, your bottom line. But we latch onto them like we need them. I'm losing money at the moment. We're eating into our bank balance because I've chosen to kick that group into touch. I'm not dealing with them, but I'm building the ones that give us the money. And it's a 2, 3, 4, 5 month process, but we are making more money in the shop now with half the staff, because the rest of the staff are on furlough at the moment. And we're doing it with no pressure, with no stress. And it's like, if we could easily double, triple, quadruple the amount of people that are coming in and still not be stressed, because we've cut out all the rubbish, all the irritating customers, all the processes that we used to have for dealing with them. And that's what I would look at. What are you doing, and do you really need to be doing it?
I love it. And here's the thing is Stuart is full of a wealth of knowledge and he can talk for hours. He does have a webinar that he did a while back.
Hi, Marlene.
He has a webinar that he did in Balloon Boss Mastermind that talked about his shop and talked about his catalogs and how he streamlined things and made things that you have your small, medium, and large. And those pieces of information are golden. And what I'm super excited about is that he's a part of my dream team again this year. Last year, he was in Orlando for our, back when we called it Promotions and Profits Retreat. And now it's become Balloon Boss Pro Summit. And the reason I call the event Balloon Boss Pro Summit is I want people to have a boss mentality. Even if you are one of those people who got into the balloon industry just to be able to share your creative, artistic talents with the world, what I encourage you is to not be one of those starving artists, but instead be a balloon boss where, yes, you can still make cool things out of balloons, but come up with your signature style, that thing that you make. Create the systems that Stuart is talking about where other people can duplicate it and make it simply, and set up the system so that you're not having to waste all your day trying to custom make everything for everyone, because it's time consuming and it typically is not profitable unless you are charging those exorbitant, really high dollar amounts to custom create something for people. And I'm not saying that there are not people in our industry that can't make custom things for our clients. If that's what you love doing, of course you can do that. But you want to set up the systems within your business to make it easy to do. And that if you're taking that time to custom design something, that you're then being paid at a higher level than someone who is just doing the classic decor. And creating classic decor, creating systems over and over again that are the same thing, is what can make you money and can also what can meet your client's need. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful piece of art on the planet. So I want to go ahead and do a quick invitation while we read the questions. And that if you have not looked at it yet, Balloon Boss Pro Summit is coming up in November in Orlando. Yes, as of today, July 3rd, 2020, I am still planning on making it a live event. Because in Florida, our colleges are planning to go back into session in September. Our younger kids are going back to school in August. Disney is set to open up in July. And so our hotel is ready and prepared to do all the things that they need to do within the CDC guidelines to be able to have our event. It's a smaller group. So this year I'm only allowing 75 participants along with our instructor staff. So we're under 100 people. And the other things that I am doing is being able to record all of our sessions. So number one, if for some reason Stuart's not allowed to leave the UK, or more like not being able to get back to the UK, we will have the technology for him to be remoted in live for our event. And then if for some reason the state of Florida closes down and we can't have a live event in person, we will have a live event online over a 2-month period of time so that we can go through all these type of things that we're talking about, break it down, and help you write the systems and plans so that you can make changes and transformation in your business also. So for more information about that, you just go to ballooncoach.com. So I wanted to let you know that those things are available for you. The other thing that I want to do while I'm giving Stuart time to look at those questions that are up there on the screen is I want to let people know that if you're needing help in taking steps in your business, I have a program that's called Balloon Boss Mastermind. The reason that I do this is to share the information of what I've learned over the last 17 years being in the balloon industry full time. And I have over 40 instructors from around the world and in business that have given insights over the last 5.5 years in my webinar programs. And all of that is sitting in a webinar library that you can listen to at any time for inspiration, tips, and hints that you can apply to your business. In addition to that webinar library, I am in my group on a daily basis, answering questions within 24 hours, plus the other members of our mastermind often jump in and give tips and hints from how to make a base, to how to create organic decor, to how to have confidence in a sales script to go out and conquer landing that sale. So I have a special offer. The first month is only $47. You get $50 off. And then at your anniversary date, you pay $97 for something that I should be charging $297 a month for. but I want to make it attainable for people to go, okay, if I sell one column or 2 bouquets, I can pay for that membership on a monthly basis. And the people who are in my program are sharing wonderful success where I've got people that a year ago in June sold $11,000 in decor, and this June they sold $30,000. These are real numbers because people wrote down a plan, they set down what their goals are, and they took action daily on the things that I share with them and help them increase their confidence to go after those sales. So if you're one of those people that you just want some extra support, help, and training, please go to ballooncoach.com and check that out. I hate for you to try this journey all on your own. You've got wonderful support systems within our industry to help you on the journey. And I want to let you guys know that those are sitting there right now. No matter where you live in the world, you can access that training 24 hours a day and have wonderful, powerful messages and tips and tricks that can help you grow and develop your business. So Stuart, are there any questions there that you want to answer before we say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, I think it's 2 or 3. Okay, could you go back to the design? And I'll answer
Redesign?
Tabitha's
Sure,
first.
I can.
So basically, the 3 Mylar foil, we call them foils,
Yeah, the foils.
are air filled. The star and the cheers are tied with 260s and pulled into the base. So they're not connected as such, you know, with glue or anything. The foil champagne is balloon bonded to the cheers and then to the corner of the star. The organics are there to hide the mechanics and to make sure that the champagne bottle sits well on the star. If it had been a heart, which has a wider kind of side, I don't think the organic would have been necessary to that level because you would have had a much better connection point on the heart onto the champagne. The organics is there, and what you can't see at the back is there to provide stability because the star point is so narrow. But that's where the connection points are. The next one, Lily and Adam, can you go forward 2 slides? Joette, I think it was 2. No, forward, no back.
What do you want a picture of?
Your balloon mastermind.
That one?
No, forward. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
No, back.
The listing of what's in the program?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on Balloon Boss Mastermind as well. I'm not an expert in everything. One of the key things that I do is I pinch other people's ideas. You know, there's very little in this world that's unique or brand new. It's all been invented before. It's just finding that information. Now, your choice is, do you spend days and weeks trying to find that information, or do you tap into somebody who's already got that information? And the program that Joette's got, by the way, I don't get commission for this. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm doing it because I enjoy chatting to Joette. She's got amazing videos. She's got a program which you go through on a weekly basis, which if you stick to, like a diet, like training, then it will work. If you see my background, how do I organize myself? That's just all whiteboards. So what I've started doing is, yes, I've got key ideas, but on a Monday and a Friday, on a Monday, we go through what we need to achieve this week. So that's not, we need to do the sales and we need all the basic stuff. We need to make balloons. We need to deliver them. That has to happen. What are the key steps we need to do to make this business move forward? And then on a Friday, we write them into a new book, which is the completed book. And it is so easy to forget where you were and what you've done, what you've achieved. In the same way, you know, when you're losing weight, you don't really notice until you compare one picture with the other how far you've come. And the same with the business. And it's important for you or your team to actually see what you've achieved, but to focus on, to be aware of what needs to happen this week, this month, this year, but to focus on what needs to happen today is really important. Because the diet plan, yes, the target is, I want to lose £50. I want to gain £50,000 in dollars. But that is achieved by achieving what you need to achieve today and tomorrow and the day after. It's those small baby steps that build up to the big target. I couldn't suggest anything better than what Joette suggested there. And if you're unsure, I'm sure Joette has got several people that are on a program that can tell you the impact it's made on them. And you know, $100 sounds like a lot of money, but it's how much do you value your own time? Because if you're charging yourself out at if you're charging yourself out at $25 an hour, you're probably not charging enough to start with. But if you are charging yourself out $25 an hour, that's 4 hours. The stuff that you got on Joette's program, you'd never learn in 4 hours. You'd never learn in 40 hours. So, you know, I would say that's a key thing. Get a system, get a person that knows people, and work that system.
Thank you so much, Stuart, because one of the things that I have found over the last 5.5 years is that it is super hard sometimes to sell yourself, right? Because you don't want to be like, hey, you got to buy my product, or, you know, you have to have my balloons. And so I think sometimes we kind of get in our own way. And so I have definitely learned that in the last few years, is that I do see the value of the programs I put together, and the fact that I can answer your question. Like, I charge $100 an hour for one-to-one consultation. So the reason I started the mastermind program is I realized that I was telling people the exact same thing every time I met with somebody for $100 an hour. And it sounded great that I was making $100 an hour, but I was frustrated because I would tell you something, but you wouldn't do anything on it, right? I would tell somebody, hey, here's what you need to do, bump, bump, bump. And if you do these things, it'll be successful. And then the next week, so did you do those things? Nope. And so what I realized is, if I instead had them give me $100 a month rather than $100 an hour, that when we get in a group of people, momentum is built. And so when you hear somebody say, you know what, I went from $11,000 in sales to over $30,000 in sales in a year for this 1 month, it now inspires other people to know that it's even possible. So there's an energy and a momentum that's built when you hear the other successes people are doing. Or on the flip side, if you say, you know what, I'm brand new, and in the last 3 weeks, I was able to make money because I followed the systems that Joette shared. And I shared the pictures, because we sell what we share. And they are pictures already right there in the group that you can use as your own to market with. So I'm putting those steps in place to help you be successful. And it's just exciting for me when I see people having the successes they're having. And I love when we come together and we can hang out on a yearly basis in Orlando to take the next step. There's 2 last things that I just want to help you guys and encourage you with. And that is, for me, what's worked is having a vision board. All right. A vision board is just a physical way for you to see your goals. If when you write things out, it doesn't help you out, if you're more artistic and creative and you need a visual picture, then think about what it is you want from the future for your life, for your family, and for your business. And get those pictures if you still have old magazines, or you can just go online and print it out and make your own online. But this was a vision board workshop I did a while ago, live in person. We also did one with balloon people. And what's exciting for me is right now my friend Cody Williams, many of you guys know him as Cody's Red Balloons out of Texas. Last year at this time, I was at his house in Texas on my 9-state teaching tour. And he had been at our event in 2017 where Diane and Gladden taught about vision boards. And he sat in the class. I do have permission to share the story. He was skeptical. He's like, vision boards, what? Like, what is this? And I said, what is it you want for the future? And at the time, he worked for someone else. And he lived in an apartment, and he did not have a vehicle for his business. And so he put down on his vision board that he wanted to work his balloon business full time. He wanted to have a van, and he wanted to live in a house. And then the fourth thing was he wanted to go on a vacation that had nothing to do with balloons, because typically he would take his vacation time away from his job to go to balloon conventions. So I had met him at numerous balloon conventions around the United States. So last year in July, over 4th of July weekend, I drove to Cody's house, and my husband and I stayed in his home, bought by with balloons. We got to hang out in his balloon van to make a delivery for a really cool event to promote his business. And he was just coming back from New York City watching the fireworks as a vacation that he took away from his business that had nothing to do with business. So I got to see that in 2 years, he was able to make all four things happen because he put it down on his vision board. He believed it could happen. He broke it down into steps. He followed the advice I had given him and the support that I've given him over the last couple of years. And it was so exciting to see all of those things come together because he's worked really, really hard to make those things reality. So I encourage you guys that if you currently feel stuck, if you're not sure what the next step is, get a journal, get a piece of paper, write down those goals, go through the vision board process. And if you're in my mastermind program, I have recordings of how that works with PowerPoints, worksheets that you can follow, and answers and questions that you can go through. So again, I'm excited that you guys invested some time to hang out with two balloon friends today just to chat about transformation, because if Stuart and I can do it, I know you can do it and exceed any goal that you have set for yourself. You just have to believe in yourself and take one step at a time to make it a reality. So Stuart, is there any other things that we need to check in on the chat?
I don't think so.
Don't think so? Okay. So Stuart, thank you so much for sharing your amazing journey with us. You inspire so many people in the industry just by candidly sharing your life. And it was super touching. For those of you who didn't see it, you can go into Balloon Coach Community and type in Stuart's name. Sharing, some of the struggles that you go through, and then also sharing your successes so openly. It helps so many. And so I appreciate you being transparent and sharing your journey with others so that other people can have the same types of successes. So I appreciate your willingness to take time away from your business today to share your story. So thank you for being here and being a part of this.
No problem.
All right, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Make sure to take action and thrive, because you can do anything you set your mind to. It's just doing it one step at a time.
Bye. See you, everybody.